What's going on, guys? I am Simple Simon, and it has been a long time since I did a simple MMA talk video. It's been a long time since I got a haircut as well, as you can see. I'm still debating in my head whether I still want to do these kind of videos on my channel, but I do want to shout out anyone who's watched, I guess, this series in the past and has left kind words, whether it be about enjoying the content or encouraging me to keep doing it. I do want to say thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Today I don't want to do a prediction video. I wanted to talk about the topic of boxing versus MMA because it is a hot topic at the moment. I just want to talk about some matchups that are coming that I am excited for, matchups I'd like to see, and also I will give my prediction on the Jake Paul-Tyron Woodley fight. So let's do this. Alright, so something that I've been sick of hearing over the past few years is MMA fighters calling out boxers. I mean, if we didn't learn anything from Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather, I just think it's a bad idea and it needs to stop. But the topic of MMA fighters versus boxers has come up a lot recently due to some YouTube star called Jake Paul. I've never heard of her. Jake Paul has become one of the biggest names in the fight world. Obviously being a big YouTube celebrity. I can't say I know much about him, to be honest. I didn't grow up watching YouTubers like that. In his last fight, he knocked out Ben Askren, who is an MMA fighter. Now, that didn't surprise me at all. I was more surprised that so many people thought Ben Askren was going to win a boxing fight. If you've never seen Ben Askren strike, well, yeah. You need to see it because it is a sight to behold. He is one of the worst strikers that has ever graced the cage in MMA. And apparently even when he trained, he didn't really train striking much, which is bizarre to me. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've joked about it in past prediction videos that I'm pretty sure I'd give Ben Askren a run for his money in a stand-up match. The fact that Jake Paul knocked out Ben Askren was no surprise to me. But I will give my predictions of the Jake Paul-Woodley fight. But before I do that, I just want to talk about some other matches that have happened recently. Anderson Silva, one of my favorite fighters of all time, took a boxing match against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I think that's his name. Now, I've always liked boxing, but I can't say I've ever followed boxing. I know enough about it as far as I've done a little bit of study. I've always loved combat sport. You know, I went through my time where I spent hours and hours on YouTube watching things like famous boxing matches, all those HBO's greatest hits. I was a massive Ali fan when I was younger. So yeah, I have watched my fair share of boxing, but I can't say I've ever followed the sport. When it comes to MMA, I mean, I've been following MMA for like over 20 years now. So I can't say I know a heap about Julio Cesar Chavez. That name's so confusing. One of my friends I work with, though, is a big boxing fan. He does follow the sport, and he told me that Chavez Sr. is a legend in the sport, while Chavez Jr. is almost like a disgrace to the sport. Apparently he parties a lot, he doesn't take his training very seriously, but nonetheless he is a seasoned boxer. He's taken on some big names. I think he's fought Canelo, I think I heard. So for him to fight Anderson Silva, at first I thought, I don't like this idea. I was not expecting Anderson Silva to have much luck against him. And what happened was Anderson Silva did win, and I actually did watch that fight, and Silva looked really, really good. I think the thing that shocked me the most was Silva looked like a boxer in that fight. MMA and boxing is so different. You cannot go into a boxing match with MMA striking, especially if you just got your hands. It's two completely different things. Bigger gloves. You've got much less weapons, obviously. Yeah, it made me really happy to see how good Silva looked. And obviously he hadn't had a win in MMA for quite some time. So yeah, it was really awesome to see that performance from him. And he's already got his next boxing match planned, which is an interesting one because it's against another MMA fighter, which is Tito Ortiz. That matchup's going to be a walk in the park for Silva because Tito Ortiz has never been known for his boxing. He's obviously been more known for his ground and pound, take you down and punch your face in. So yeah, it's a big opportunity for Ortiz to obviously get in the ring with Silva, but I think he's going to get his ass whooped, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. I think that fight is a co-main event to a main event, which I'm really excited about. My favorite fighter in MMA history is Vitor Belfort. Yeah, he's actually in the main event against Oscar De La Hoya. Now, I can't say I know a huge amount about Oscar De La Hoya, but obviously I have seen his HBO greatest hits. I do know what he can do and that he is a great legend in the sport. So at first I was like, oh no, Vitor, what are you doing? Silva obviously looked very good, but if there's one other guy that could potentially look good as a boxer, it would be Vitor. He's been boxing for a very long time. If you don't know a lot about him, he was known as the Phenom in his when he first started in MMA. He was an absolute beast, had all the steroids in the world in his system when he was 19 years old, and used to blitz people. He was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt who learnt boxing in secret because back then it was kind of looked down on to train in different disciplines. So he's always had quick hands, he's always had power, he's always been a phenom. When it comes to De La Hoya, I guess the main thing going against De La Hoya in this matchup would be that he was retired quite some time ago. Vitor Belfort was active only up until only a few years ago, and I think Vitor might be back on the TRT. He's definitely looking a lot more like TRT Tour, which is my favorite Vitor. Yeah, I think if De La Hoya's chin can hold up in this matchup, that's the big question, because Vitor Belfort is known for his blitzes. He's not known for going the distance. He's known for putting you away early and quickly. So if De La Hoya's chin can hold up, I think Vitor is going to be in a lot of trouble, because Vitor is one of those guys, he fades as the match goes on. So I think his only chance to win this is to put him away early, and who knows, he could do that. But yeah, if I was a betting man, I'd be putting my money on De La Hoya. I feel like someone who's a legend in the sport, even though you've been away for so long, I'm sure he would do some sort of training and hitting the bag from time to time. I feel like when you're that good at some point, you're always going to have it to some degree. As much as I'm hoping Vitor will just blitz De La Hoya and destroy him in like a round, I think De La Hoya should be the favorite in that one. Now, when it comes to Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, Jake Paul is the favorite going into this one. And again, that does not surprise me at all. I think he should be the favorite. And if I had to put money on this matchup, I would put money on Jake Paul all day as well. And that's not me saying that Tyron Woodley can't win. Tyron Woodley could absolutely put Jake Paul to sleep. I just don't think he's going to. Obviously, he's getting old now. He's lost, I think, his last 4 or 5 MMA fights, and he hasn't looked good while losing. His last performance in the UFC was probably one of his best, because it was the first time in so long where he threw his hands, he was looking for the finish, and he was looking for it early. Tyron Woodley, over the years, even when he was champion, he's very gun shy. He's always looking for that power shot. So that's the thing. They're building up Tyron Woodley to be the first elite striker that Jake Paul has fought, which is not true. Tyron Woodley is known as a power puncher. He's not known as a boxer. So he really relies on that one punch, and really that's the one thing that Jake Paul has to avoid. That's all he really has to do. Now, Jake Paul has so many things going for him. He's got less mileage. He's obviously much younger, but he's so much bigger than Tyron Woodley, and he's so much bigger than Ben Askren. Jake Paul is picking his fights very smart, and obviously Tyron Woodley is another great pick, because Tyron Woodley is known to be a knockout artist in his past. After Paul beat Askren, everyone was saying, well, Askren's just a wrestler. Tyron Woodley's a really good smart pick, because they're going to, well, he's an ex-champion, he also knocked people out. But yeah, at the end of the day, you can say what you want about Jake Paul, but Jake Paul looks like he trains boxing, and looks like he has trained boxing more than someone like Woodley. I don't think Woodley knows what it's going to be like to box for however many rounds this match is going to be. He's never been in a boxing match. I think Woodley's only chance is to come into this matchup and put the fear in Paul early and try to put him away early. I feel like the longer this goes, Woodley's going to get tired and he's going to lose that power. There's a lot of fighters I find in MMA, especially as they get older, they become a lot more gun shy, because they're the fighters that are known to fade as the fight goes on. Even guys like Jose Aldo, a lot of these guys, as they get older, I think they realize that they slow down as the fight goes on, so they're less active, they're less busy with their attacks. I don't think Woodley can really go into this match like he does with his MMA striking. In his MMA striking, he's very trigger shy, and he's just looking for that one shot. And he does have an incredible blitz, but I think Paul, over the course of X amount of rounds, I think Woodley's going to slow down, and I think Paul could very much put Woodley away. I feel like Woodley's chin is not quite what it used to be, considering obviously how old he is now as well. As much as I'd like to see Woodley blitz Paul and just put him away and just embarrass him, humiliate him, and put an end to this Jake Paul, whatever it is that's going on, I think Jake Paul should be the favorite going into this, and I think he will get the W. Moving forward from there, I think Jake Paul wants to fight Conor McGregor, which is just a stupid matchup. It doesn't make sense. He's so much bigger than Conor McGregor, size-wise. So I think that's a silly matchup. He's so much bigger than a lot of the guys he's calling out. Someone I would like to see fight Jake Paul, who's also been calling him out, is Nate Diaz. I think that would be the matchup to make. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think the UFC would let it happen. But I think Nate Diaz is a matchup I would like to see versus Jake Paul. Nate Diaz has the boxing. He has the cardio. He can box for a full boxing match, I believe. So that's actually the matchup I would like to see Jake Paul do if he gets this win against Tyron Woodley. And that's my thoughts on this one. Let me know what you guys think, who you think's going to win the Woodley and Paul fight. You know, I could be completely wrong, like I said. I hope I'm wrong. Let us know in the comment section below. Again, I keep debating whether or not I'm going to keep doing this series on my channel. I definitely have at least 1 or 2 more to come out because I want to do a top 5 list. I've been wanting to do a top 5 pound for pound MMA fighters for a long time. So I do plan on doing that eventually. We'll see what happens, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching if you've made it this far, and until next time, I am Simple Simon. Keep it simple.